You know, working full time with two very young kids, trying to do this just wasn't working. So I never thought that I'd be one of those people that make an I quit video, whether that be quitting YouTube or quitting my day job to pursue YouTube, but here I am. There have been quite a few changes in the last couple of months with me, and I thought it would be a good opportunity to update you on everything that I've been doing, what I plan on doing, and also try and tie together a little bit more the stuff that I do outside of YouTube with YouTube. So, a couple of months ago, I quit my job. For those of you that don't know, which will be most of you, because I've generally been kind of private on here, I don't talk about my personal life too often. For the last 12 years or so, pretty much my entire professional career, I've worked in the energy industry. So the whole time that I've been doing YouTube, the whole time that I've been doing any kind of social media, I've been working full time in the energy industry, and it has been tough. You may notice if you've been following me from the very start, there have been gaps of months and, you know, up to 6 months in some cases. And with a young, growing, small family, it's not always easy. And some of you might be thinking, how can a channel with less than 40,000 subscribers make enough money to warrant quitting your full-time job? And you'd be right to ask that, because it definitely doesn't. I don't make enough money just from YouTube to be able to quit my job. It definitely wasn't paying all the bills, but it is one revenue stream that I have. And as well as being a small revenue stream, it also opens up a huge amount of opportunities for me that could be useful to me in the future, like brand deals, just networking with people, meeting people, going to events, all that kind of stuff. So as I say, for the last couple of months and definitely going forward, I plan to just continue with YouTube, hopefully putting videos out every single week, because I really do enjoy it. So I didn't quit my job necessarily to be a full-time YouTuber, but YouTube is one of the things that I focus on as a full-time barbecue guy. So as YouTube doesn't pay all the bills, there's a couple of other things that I do in my time. And some of you may be aware of the barbecue classes that we run, mostly through the summer, the Texas style barbecue classes. I run those at various barbecue shops around the country. And I've mentioned those a few times on this channel recently. And a lot of that stuff is kind of managed and promoted and marketed outside of YouTube on Instagram and Facebook and all that kind of stuff. So going forward, for those of you that don't use other types of social media like Instagram, I'm going to be making it much easier for you to just go from YouTube straight to a place where you can buy tickets for those events if you want to come down to one of those classes. So as well as the classes, I also do a lot of private consulting. And this is something that I would never have mentioned on this channel. So over the last couple of years, I've worked with many different places, restaurants, pop-ups, guys who are just trying to do the barbecue collection from home thing that I did a few years ago, trying to help them get set up and basically getting paid for my time to help teach them how to cook barbecue, how to set up a barbecue business, maybe just improve the barbecue offering that they already have. There are a lot of pubs and small places in the UK that are trying to jump on the barbecue bandwagon or the popularity of barbecue. They want to buy a smoker, they want to sell pulled pork and brisket and all those types of things, but they don't really know where to start. So they'll contact me. I'll go spend a couple of days with them, show them the ropes, maybe do some ongoing work with them to help them price things up, source meat, all that kind of stuff. So that is another revenue stream for me, the private consulting. So although this isn't necessarily an ad, now you know that if you ever want to work with me, whether you're an individual or a business, it really doesn't matter. You can contact me on the email in the description box below, and we can work something out. Something else that I really want to get started, and I tried a little bit a couple of years ago, was a Patreon. Problem with the Patreon was, again, like everything else, full-time job, trying to do YouTube, having a baby or a 3-year-old and a 13-week-old, it was really hard to produce enough content for both YouTube and Patreon. And I always really struggled to know what goes on YouTube versus what goes on Patreon. When you've barely got time to do one video a week, it's really difficult to then come up with another piece of content specifically for Patreon. However, I know people are interested in supporting me via Patreon, and I'm really, really appreciative of that. I just want to make sure that if I start a Patreon as a way for you guys to support me directly, again, which I massively appreciate, it needs to be content or stuff that's actually worth it to the viewer. So I'd be really interested to know, what is it that you would like to see more of from this channel? The weekly videos on YouTube are going to be primarily about cooking, maybe some vlogging and little things like that. And I really don't just want to make a behind the scenes video of the video that was on YouTube, or just give you access to videos a week early or things like that, because that doesn't seem very valuable. I've done giveaways on Patreon before and they're pretty cool, but if you're paying £100 a year to maybe win something that costs £30, and that's not even guaranteed, again, that doesn't seem like a particularly great deal. For me, that really needs to be a perk on top of something that's already worth getting. So let me know in the comments if you're interested in me doing a Patreon, and if so, What would you like to see from it? You'll also see me working with the company ProSmoke a lot more. So I do some consulting for Ollie over at ProSmoke, doing various things. That could be YouTube videos or making content, managing their social media to some extent. And for those of you that have been watching the channel, you'll know that I've been working with them since the very first video. And I'll continue to work with them in a more formal capacity, which I'm really, really glad about. Ollie at ProSmoke is a good friend and he is doing incredible things for the barbecue world in the UK. So this next one is a pretty new one and it's pretty wild, but from next year I'll be running barbecue tours in Austin, Dallas, Fort Worth, Lockhart, San Antonio, and it's something that I'm really excited about. So again, for those of you who don't follow my Instagram, basically when there is availability, you can book onto a tour to come join me in Austin to go on a 5-day barbecue tour around that area. So our first tour is actually sold out. We're thinking about doing a second week at the moment, but need to work with some of the restaurants to make sure that it's possible. But effectively, all you need to do is get to Austin or be in Austin. You can come from wherever you like. Book yourself a flight, a hotel, and you will be escorted by myself to various different barbecue restaurants around the area over a couple of days. Some of those restaurants you'll get line skip, so you don't have to wait in the queue. Your meals will be included. You'll get a tour with the pitmaster. You'll head down to Lockhart for a more historic tour. Maybe head over to the Millscale factory for a private tour. Maybe. And basically just come on a curated tour by me in the area, get driven around so you don't have to book a car and you can drink. And everything's pretty much planned out for you. So as I say, our first tour next year in February is already sold out. But again, I'm gonna be trying to link all of this stuff to YouTube. So for those of you who don't have social media, all of this information will be presented to you in plenty of time for you to be able to book on if you wish. Sold out for next year, but there may be a couple more tours throughout the year that you guys will be made aware of. Here's a list of all the stuff that I forgot to mention, but isn't that important right now. I'm currently working on things like merch, rubs, sauces, all that kind of stuff, but those things aren't really that essential to me. I really don't want to put out rubs and sauces purely for the sake of putting out rubs and sauces like everyone does. There are so many rubs out there and much of them are the same. So unless I can come up with a rub that's really unique, really good, or a sauce that's really unique, really good, that's worth selling, I'm not going to do it. But maybe one day there'll be a Wilson's Barbecue rib rub or brisket rub or Mexican style rub that you can get your hands on. But again, not really a priority for me at the moment. In terms of merch, I've done a couple of runs of t-shirts and hoodies in the past and they've always done really well. So I'm going to start thinking about getting those up for sale. I know that some people are after them and I quite like to have a few branded t-shirts in my drawer, in my cupboard for when I do events. So I'll have some of those and probably have some excess of those to sell at some point soon. And I think that's it. So this is pretty much me now, trying to make a living doing barbecue, not just on YouTube, but just in general, doing all sorts of stuff. I'm sure there's things I've forgotten, but I wanted to give you an update anyway. You know, working full time with 2 very young kids, trying to do this just wasn't working. It got to the point where it was either just be a dad that works and just sack off the barbecue entirely or go full-time barbecue. And we're in the lucky position financially where we could do that and take the risk. Previous hobby did pay a good amount and I knew that with a bit of effort I could make it work. So I'm super excited to be doing this full-time. I'm looking forward to having the time to bring all the other stuff that I do to YouTube and merge them together a little bit more so you guys are a bit more informed. So if you made it this far, I'm surprised first off, but also really thankful for you watching. Let me know in the comments if you found this video interesting, useful, insightful, if you enjoyed it, and definitely let me know what kind of content you want to see in the future. That would be really useful to me. Thanks again, like, comment, subscribe, do all those things, and I'll see you next week for another video.